Bugsy is a 1991 film directed by Barry Levinson. It's written by James Toback, and we have a cast including Warren Beatty, Annette Bening, Ben Kingsley. We have Elliott, Gould, and the wonderful Bebe Neuwirth. It's because of Bebe Neuwirth that I wanted to watch this. She's in it a little bit, and I did like her performance in this. Did I like the film? No, I didn't. But I will admit that that's more of a personal preference thing. But I will also say it's way longer than it needed to be. It's over 2 hours, and it's not that unusual for a biographical film to be that long. But I also feel like it didn't need to be. But that being said, I'm not otherwise familiar with the life of Bugsy. This is Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. So maybe all of this was relevant. I don't know. I'd love to know what people think of this, if they are familiar with Bugsy's life, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. But I generally think that it was easily half an hour longer than it needed to be, which didn't really help with my enjoyment. I'll read the description from IMDb because I think this one sums it up well without giving away too much. This is all the information I had going into it, and it was enough information for me to generally follow along with what was happening. So I can say that you don't need too much background information to be able to follow it, but I probably would have enjoyed it more if I had an interest in Bugsy. The description from IMDb is as follows. The true story of gangster Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, his tumultuous affair with the tough-talking Virginia Hill, and how he founded the Nevada-based city that would go on to be known as Las Vegas. Straight away, I knew I wasn't going to love this. I don't care about gangsters. I don't care about films about gangsters. It was never going to appeal to me. But I think if that is your kind of film, if those characters are your kinds of characters, I think you'll enjoy it. I feel like it's a decent representation of a gangster film while also being biographical. This is based on my limited experience with gangster films, obviously. And visually, I think it was quite well done. The costumes are gorgeous. We have a variety of indoor and outdoor locations to keep things fresh. We have some, I guess, interesting enough dialogue. Basically, I'm trying to find some positives to say about it because I did not like it at all, but it's down to personal preference. So I'm trying to find positives from my perspective. The performances were very good. I have no idea if this is an accurate portrayal of Bugsy. Bugsy is played by Warren Beatty, but certainly the performance seemed good. The character seemed well written. If anybody can confirm if it's a good version of Bugsy, if it's accurate, please feel free to share that information. So I didn't enjoy it, and I do think it was way longer than it needed to be. I don't think a film ever needs to be over 2 hours, at least very, very rarely. I'm absolutely of the mind that a well-written film should not be that long. I'm trying to think of a film that is that long, where I watched it and thought, yes, that's an acceptable length. I'm sure there are some, but in general, it definitely didn't need to be that long, and there are definitely scenes that I thought were not necessary, but maybe they were iconic scenes in Bugsy's life, and I'm not aware of that. So take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt. I guess to sum up, if it's not your kind of film, then I'd say it's not worth watching. And that may sound obvious, but there are plenty of times when I watch a film that doesn't seem like it will be my kind of film, but then it ends up being interesting. For me, that wasn't the case here, and I do think that had it not been slow, because it is very, very slow, it's not just the length of the film that's a problem. Also, there are times when not a lot happens. It might seem like a lot's happening because characters are shouting or running around quickly, but in terms of the actual progression of the narrative, it is quite slow. Had it been a tighter narrative, I don't want to say I would have enjoyed it, but I think it would have been an easier experience. So I didn't like it. I don't care for it. I'll never watch it again. If you're interested in the life of Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, it might be worth checking out. Indeed, I'd love to know what you think of it if you went into this with some knowledge of Bugsy. Or indeed, if you're interested in gangster films in general, did it meet your expectations? For me, though, I didn't care for it. I've mentioned some positives, but also I feel like the pacing wasn't great. In general, I don't recommend it if it's not your kind of film, as obvious as that may sound. But I would love to know what you think of it, if it is your kind of film, and whether you recommend it to anybody who might be interested in it, and if it meets your expectations.